Welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We are looking at the BKT EuroCup, the road to greatness, as they say. And we have started the second half of the regular season. And with me, as always, is Sergio Llebres. Sergio, how you doing?
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. Another good one for the books in the BKT EuroCup. Some good games and another games that tell us that there are some teams in very quite danger and another teams that are all the way up to the first positions.
Yeah, we're getting close. I mentioned last week we have must-win games kind of getting in there, and yeah, that's I think we probably will be getting close to having some teams eliminated soon.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's in the future. Let's talk about in the near future. Let's talk about the not so distant past. We're going to look at the round 10 action, and so we're going to start with your game, and the game you
Yeah.
want to talk about is the game you were at, Valencia
Yeah.
Basket. Really, the game we kind of thought was going to be the top game, going up against Hapoel Bank Yahav Jerusalem and Valencia Basket. Yeah, just cruise. 96 to 83, 18 three-pointers made, 47% three-point shooting. So, what do you have to say about those
Yeah.
Valencia boys?
Nothing new. The rhythm is crazy. The possessions are crazy. The three pointers are crazy. The efficiency, the defense, everything is 10 out of 10 for Valencia. It is how it is. But although they had a first dominant half with a run of 20 nothing, I think that was breaking the game wide open, and they had Valencia like 57 to 30 lead. Despite that, the early deficit, Hapoel refused to back down in the second half, and one of the main names in the game was Colin Carrington. Pedro Martinez, the Valencia Basket coach, warned about him, and being with Jared Harper is kind of difficult because he gets all the game and all the shots. But in this time, Valencia limited him. They know him very well, and he only shot like six free throws, I think. So kind of
Actually, eight free throws.
eight, kind of interesting for a guy that only shoots free throws. And yeah, Valencia scored 96 points to a team that has a lower defensive rating in the EuroCup and the EuroLeague. They are um, with 98 defensive rating. So it's kind of interesting how Valencia can also damage their defense. And yeah, Hapoel won the latest two quarters. That talks very good for them. But the difference is crazy because first against the second seed, and they couldn't do anything literally.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, what else are you going to say about Valencia? It's just crazy, you know. You're starting to wonder, is anybody not starting to? We've been wondering for a while now. Does anybody have a chance against them, against Valencia? You have to win the two out of three. And I mean, if they hit threes, then you definitely have no chance. I mean, you said, they won the final two quarters, but by that point they were already down by 21, so it's just, and there's so many weapons. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna move
sure.
to Turk Telecom coming back to beating Lake Cabelas 93-98. And I was kind of watching the game a little bit and then moved over to the game I was reporting on, the Hamburg game. And it looked like the Cabelas was kind of in control, and I thought, wow, that's a big win for them.
Mm.
And then I go back and look, and I thought, oh man, they lose again. Um, Yeah, it was. I mean, historic performance. I think as everybody, who wants to know about it. Anthony Brown, 26, Angola, 24, Johan Makonda, 23. The first time ever that three teammates have combined for 23 or more points in a non-overtime EuroCup game. Non-overtime being the main thing, which you think about is just crazy. Liga Bellis really, 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 really needed this victory, and it looked pretty good for a while, and they just couldn't finish it. Now they're down, they're stuck at 2-7, and they still have that makeup game against Valencia. So you kind of have to think they're at 2-8, 3 games behind Reyer, Turk Telecom now Turk Telekom and Cluj, and it's going to be problematic for them.
Yeah.
They played without Marco Pasarski as well, which is a problem. As obviously he scores, but he's the second best offensive rebounder in the league at 2.9. And you just think if he had grabbed 3 offensive rebounds in that game, those are 3 possessions that
Yeah.
you could have gotten something out of, and maybe stop the run or whatever. And yeah, it's a massive loss for Lit Cabellas, as now you're sitting really pretty far behind now.
Yeah, this is why I was talking about in the first stage of this episode that some wins can like break the standings here because of this 2-7 of Lietkabelis. And now you you have to hope uh, a win in Valencia that seems impossible right now. So 3-win difference against Venice that isn't even in the playoff position is kind of tough for the Lithuanians. So maybe in the Group A, things are quite of set and done. Besides Venice and Turk Telekom and Cluj-Napoca.
Yeah, I want to say something. And I don't know. I might be old school and whatever. Actually, I'm kind of old school, but Brian Angola had the bright red
Yeah.
and neon yellow shoes. I don't know. What do you think about it? I mean, to me, it kind of looks silly, but I'm not a shoes guy and everything else. I don't want to say anything bad about him personally. I just think it looks silly. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, there's some guys that in the NBA play with Air Max One, so with street shoes. So
Yeah, but
nah,
as long as they're the same shoes, the same color shoes, I'm okay with that.
yeah,
But that's the thing. And actually, this is masterful transition right here. And actually, Berk Urgulu of Besiktas, he wears one black shoe and one white shoe. So it actually looks like he loses the other shoe and he's running in
yeah,
socks, which
and
I
and
think
and,
looks
and and now they sell pairs of shoes with the
with
color
one
the
each
same.
color.
But
I've
he
heard
had
that. And
yeah he had a good game with those shoes.
yeah, he did. He like I said, I
Good.
mean, he's a dark horse candidate, if for
Good.
MVP. I think, since he's come over, he's been really, amazing for that team. All right. So your player
Yeah,
that you want to talk about. That
I
was my cool transition to Besiktas.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Jonah Mathews because he was kind of important in his best game this season, at least for Besiktas. The Turkish won away for 82-90 against Buducnost. And it was a thrilling contest. Besiktas secured a narrow victory, and also important to get that 6-4 record and to get tied for the third group in the Group A. And this is a bad news for Buducnost because they are now 4-6. But Jonah Mathews and Kyle Alman, sorry, hit important shots. But the most important shot was by Needham with 35 seconds left that made the 85-89. And this is a very good win for Besiktas because they, as Dusan Alimpijevich, I think it said, just told that they can turn disadvantages to advantages because they aren't playing with any center right now, and players like Jonah Mathews are stepping up uh, with 20 points. His offensive performance was kind of instrumental in maintaining Besiktas narrow edge throughout the game, especially during a crucial, I think it was 17-4 run that gave them the control early in the game. So yeah, very very good, important win. And those 2 3 point attempts by Fletcher McGee and McKinney Wright were crucial also that they missed them. So good for the Turkeys. That they didn't start the season very good, and now they are like getting wins. So
6-4, 2 games ahead of Buducnost then for the final non-playoff for the non-playoff ranking
yes.
spot. You could say small ball, if you will. It only works in against certain teams, that might not have, big guys. I mean, another super transition. Their next game is against Bahcesehir, and I don't know if they're going to be able to play small ball and actually survive
Against
that.
against Odiase, I don't think so.
Yeah. So Bahcesehir is my
Mhm.
next one. I'm going to talk about CJ Massinburg. There's so many on this players on this team, that we've talked about in the past, and this is actually one guy we haven't talked about. And he played 2 years at Brescia in Italy, 22-23 season. He was in the EuroCup. Last year, he was actually named Best Sixth Man of the Year and Most Improved Player of the Italian League. And so, he comes over and just gives them, that much more playmaking and everything else, really. I mean,
Mhm.
he missed rounds 6 to 8, and Coach Radoncic, regularly said in those games, yeah, we're missing Massinburg, and we really need him back and stuff like that. This game he had 13 points, 2 threes, 4 assists, 0 turnovers in 26 minutes. He had come back the game before, had 7 points and 3 assists in the 19 minutes against Joventut. He's twice had 6 assists, and he also had 20 points against Trento. So, he's definitely a major spark plug in this team. Also, because we like to give these fun facts about these players.
Hmm.
He he actually won the TBT, the basketball tournament, in 2022 with the Blue Collar U, and he was named the MVP. And of course, the winner of that tournament takes home that $1 million prize money. So he's actually a TBT champion, and definitely showing that he can play some good ball there at Bahcesehir in the Euro Cup.
This summer we saw some TBT's good games. Uh, they had good players like Willie Cauley-Stein, Nate Sestina also.
There's a
And,
lot of
yeah,
players that want to go in there. Think about it, man. You get $1 million for a tournament. That's pretty. I'll take that.
yeah, and they get quite cheapy in those games. They because of the rivalry. This this season in this summer, Chinanu Onuaku spirit in the face of Sestina. Late,
Seriously, in the TBT.
later in the
Whoa.
game, they had because Sestina made like an offensive gesture. It's called else down because of Louisville, and
Oh.
yeah, and the rivalry, and they almost got into a fight, and they are very good games there.
All right, let's move over to
Yeah,
the player, sort of surprise player. We call it surprise player, but really just an excuse for us to talk about another player.
yeah,
Who you got?
yeah. Some standout performance that we can talk about for the game, and Antonio Blakeney is for me the surprise player because of his performance with Hapoel Tel Aviv in a win 95-70 to the very very bad Joventut again. Uh, in a game that Jan Madar debuted in the EuroCup with Hapoel Tel Aviv. with Dimitris Itoudis, Marcus Bingham, all the other brand new player. And in 21 minutes, Blakeney had 20 points with 9 of 14 in field goals, 4 rebounds, and Tel Aviv defeated Joventut in Samokov Arena, uh, taking the third place in the Group A also. So Blakeney was the star of the game. Surprisingly, they have Beverly, Madar, Marcus Foster, guys that, Caboclo, guys that um, take so much on the ball, but he had the best performance of the season, where almost every player scored. I think this is a consequence of it to this impact that he tries to involve every player. So they all eyes were on Madar, but who stood out was Blakeney for my surprise, and I think everyone's surprise. Madar had 9 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, good game, but the lights were for Blakeney and also Patrick Beverly. 25
Um,
win, 25-point win against Joventut, and 30-point advantage in
Yeah,
additional points.
Joventut is a struggling team, as we've said multiple times. So they scored 93 points. Yeah, no, 95 points.
25.
40 of those by the three new players,
Yeah.
Blakeney, Bingham, and Madar. And Marcus Foster was had 7 points, and Marcus Foster had those 7 points in 13 minutes. The Ulm game, he played 33 minutes, and those 13 minutes were the second fewest he's played. I don't know what happened in the Wolves game where he only played 9 minutes. So it looks like Marcus Foster has been kind of given a new role. So
Yeah, he had the keys of the offense earlier, so
yes, and now he's been put not even in the back seat, but in the
yeah,
way in the back with the luggage. And so
in other car. Yeah.
and this is the whole thing that we thought of that I was trying to figure out. It's like, okay, you change up your entire hierarchy of the team. You have a new coach and all these new players, and
Mhm.
what's that going to be like, you know? And so I reserve judgment to say it's going to be great or not. Whether or not there's enough time or not. That there's still a few months, so where the playoffs would come in, where they have to be playing their best basketball. Could be, but let's reserve judgment on that. I'm actually gonna go and talk about somebody who actually lost, and that is Jonathan Stove, and that plays with Hamburg, and he is a new signing for them. He came over from Marousi and in Greece.
Mhm.
First game for them in the EuroCup. Had a really strong game. Had 19 in the first half when Hamburg was just unconscious. They scored 58 points in the first half, and it just a breakneck pace. It was just insane. Ended with 22. So he only scored 3 points, but he in the second half, but he had 8 rebounds and 4 assists. This is a guy that debuted in professional basketball in 2021. He graduated from college in 2018. So 3 full years later, started in Albania, and in his third professional game ever, whatever this, 3 years after never playing before, had a triple double, 18, 15, 11 with 0 assists. Started with and kind of basically was close to giving up. Had an ankle injury, and then was trying to get spots to come over here to Europe, and never got a bite. And then COVID happened, and then and was actually going back to his university. Was kind of helping out there. Was an assistant high school coach. Was sleeping on his best friend's couch. 3 times. Thought about giving it up in 2019 during the pandemic, and then in 2021 in May. And then he's saying, yeah, you tried your best, and then he began to have peace with it, and was actually going to have a new coaching job at a Catholic high school in Baton Rouge. A couple weeks later, a couple weeks before it was about to start, he gets a call. He's got a job in Albania, and he goes from Albania, finishes that season in Israel, first division in Israel, so a pretty decent jump. And then Finland last year was the leading scorer at Centebex NBC in the German league, and now he's in the Euro. Now he's in the Euro Cup. So massive rise. I did an interview him quite a while ago, actually May of 2022. So about and on the Taking the Charge podcast here on the Substack, and I definitely wanted to point out his saga because it's really a testament to perseverance, and so I'm really happy to have him here in the Euro Cup, and
And
you
he's
saw
only
19 points. He can ball.
Yeah, and he's only 28 years old. So he's got space and time to continue growing here and making his name here because I think he's got a very good potential for EuroCup basketball here.
Yeah, and he drops 22, 19 in
Very
the first half
efficient.
against Borg, in the first game, in the game against the team that finished second in the competition last year. Massive win for Borg. I mean, they could not really have afforded that loss. Hamburg still down in last place in
Yeah.
that Group B.
How
Borg, if they had lost that game, they would have been down at 5-5. So at least they have that little gap
how a team can be that in that bad situation that a guy in his first two games plays 25 and 33 minutes and gets 16 and 23 shots in his first two games. It's incredible. It's incredible.
You're talking about Stove with also the first game the first game
Yeah,
in the
with
league.
no, he played against Cedevita, but I thought you mentioned, but he had 12 points against Cedevita, but
Okay, no,
like
I didn't.
the
I
last
didn't. I
round.
didn't. Yeah. Well, I mean, they clearly wanted somebody to
Yeah,
pick up on offense.
but it's
Also in
incredible.
this also in this game, Coach Barlovsky was ejected double technical with about 7 minutes
So,
left in the first half.
free,
So
free basketball for him. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, anything else? I mean, Ulm struggled a little bit, to putting away Sopot,
very ugly game.
it's
Very ugly game.
incredible that Sopot is still winless. And also, hey, don't look now, but Ryer's won 3 games in a row. Two of those games, Tyler Nelson is back. And they're fighting right there, 5-5 with Cluj and
Yeah.
Turk Telecom at five and
and,
five.
and against direct rivals. It wasn't against Hamburg or it was Turk Telekom, Lietkabelis, and Aris to get that difference, and they are now fighting for the playoff spot. We gotta remember that they were practically the worst team in the beginning of the season because of the injuries. They didn't have Tyler Ennis and other injured players, and now they are like growing and they seem more like a team now. They have a very good coach. All we gotta say,
And I mean, and Tyler Ennis is really
yeah.
a star player. All right, let's move over to the next round's games. What are you watching?
I'm hoping to watch everything, but my time's limited. So I think we have to focus on some Spanish teams because of their level. But we have two very good games involving Spanish teams, Joventut and Gran Canaria, and very two important games in terms of playoff spots. Joventut hosts the German team, ratiopharm, and this is going to be a very good matchup because I think their play style is kind of similar, but with some names that are very experienced against names that are very young. So it's going to be interesting. And then we've got to end the round, Gran Canaria hosting Buducnost. Um, Buducnost is hoping to get up and forget that that missed game. So I think Gran Canaria has a very good test here. Gran Canaria is 8-2. This is very impressive. So very good test also for them because they are playing very like a team, very choral, So there's no star in that team, and I think this is a very similar situation like big teams like Bahcesehir or Valencia Basket. So I think this is what determines big teams and good teams, their play style and also their results. 8-2.
Yeah, I have three other games that I want to mention. Wolves against Hapoel
Mhm.
Tel Aviv. You know, uh, Wolves have dropped their last two games. I was impressed how long they stuck in that game with Bahcesehir before Bahcesehir just kind of pulled away.
Yeah.
And that'd be a massive win for Wolves if they can chop down Tel Aviv, because they would be tied at 6-5 uh, in the group. In the other group, you have Cluj going at home against Borg, and another two teams that if Borg were to win, the home team also in the case as well, home team Cluj were to get that win, they would also be 6-5 tied with Borg as well. And the other one is as actually if the another home team wins, and that'd be Reyer beating Cedevita. Man, look at that. Look at that. So if Reyer and
They get
Cluj,
tied.
if Reyer and Cluj both win, then we have a four-way, no, we have a five-way.
6-4.
Well, we definitely have at least four-way tie at 6-5. And then if Turk Telecom, they have to win that game at home against Aris because then they'll also get in that. So all five of those teams would be tied at 6-5.
Everything's very tight. Yeah.
And then those. So another thing that we also kind of need to watch out. Maybe let's try to remember this for next week's show, because we're starting to get into who might be with whom in tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Every point is going to be important or could be important. So, all right, so much fun, and we will let you go with that. Right? Anything else you want to pass along to the people?
Now, looking forward for those games. We got some really good games also in the national competitions. Let's have fun with them in the weekend, and we'll take charge of the 11th round of the BKT EuroCup.
Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Llebres 11, Llebres 11, Llebres 11 on Twitter or X.
And Blue Sky?
Blue Sky, yeah.
Blue Sky as well. There
Blue
you
Sky as
go.
well, yeah.
In case people are out there already on Blue Sky, are you same thing, Sergio Llebres 11?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same.
Same here. Hein News,
Unification.
HeinNews. I do have an article, I think, coming up this week
Mhm.
about Devontae Jones from Cedevita and about his wild ride in his first year as a professional basketball player with the fantastic Victor Wembanyama. So talking about his year there. Hopefully it comes up this week. They usually put those up on Friday. So happy that just reliving a little bit of that year. So it was
Very
a
good
fun
time.
chat with him.
Yeah.
Sergio, appreciate the time as always.
Appreciate it.
And we will talk to you next week. And this has been the Gone Traveling Podcast. And we're out.